in order to help us with the video, it would be good if you came to the microphone to speak and to avoid coming over this way, because you'll be in front of the camera. So just make your way around to this aisle and say whatever you want to say.
Yes, don't be shy about any questions.
Thank you for coming. What is the status of the canonization process? Is she venerable, servant of God, beatified? What?
She is a servant of God and not yet beatified.
Okay.
And the Archdiocese of New York and Cardinal Dolan have taken a very significant interest in this effort. And there is something called the Dorothy Day Guild. I'm sorry, I should have brought information on this, but anyone can become a member and contribute. I think it will be a very slow, difficult process for a couple of reasons. She herself was not in favor of any such effort because of the idea that none of us can become saints. I mean, she said, don't call me a saint, I don't want to be dismissed that easily, but she also said we're all called to be saints. But I think the process will be slow because she's a rather radical figure, and that will have to be looked at. A lot of the work has been done in terms of her writings. She wrote so prolifically, and a lot of the footwork has actually been done to do that first part of the process. But the other aspect is the money. It takes hundreds of thousands of dollars, and she would clearly be opposed to the use of money that way.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank you so much. Very moving. But as a young woman, I had heard about the Catholic Worker, and I've been a member of the church for quite a long time, and I too have gone through periods of questioning. But what I heard from you tonight is that Christ's message is so much alive, and it gets lost in the institutions of today's world. So it was very encouraging, and really made me feel tremendous to hear all that you are doing and all you're accomplishing and truly living the message that he taught us. So thank you.
Thank you. The church is our mother, and we rely on her. And Dorothy certainly walked that line. I think there are two strands. For me, I've been processing this my entire adult life, but there are certainly two strands of the church: the hierarchy, the institution, and then the rest of us, the laity. And Dorothy did start a lay movement, really trying to inspire more participation in the church and more understanding of the Catholic social teachings. Peter talked about the church sitting on a box of dynamite, with the Catholic social teachings being inside the box. And so, yes, we're all imperfect, we're all sinners. We need to constantly be vigilant, questioning ourselves, questioning our institutions, encouraging each other to be more holy and more honest. And it's a lifelong undertaking.
I wonder if you could comment on social justice as it's been manifested by the nuns on the bus, particularly,
Yes.
and the reaction that the church has had to that position.
I don't know.
I guess I'm also asking you how you think Dorothy would have responded to the current situation.
Yes, yes. The nuns on the bus, follow the nuns, pay attention to the nuns. They're doing very good work, very hard work. The nuns were the first ones to recognize in the 1930s and 40s who Dorothy was and what the work was that she was taking on. The nuns are, you know, the ones who are in the trenches doing the work. I can't comment on the church's response to the nuns on the bus. I was just out in Youngstown, Ohio, where there's Dorothy Day House was opened up 2 years ago, and Sister Ann, my friend, had invited me out to speak to that community before the opening of their house. And the nuns on the bus were stopping at her place, which she was very excited about. And that was 2 days after I had to leave there, which I was sad not to be able to see them in action. But yes, they took a tour of some of the most impoverished parts of our country, the cities. The little bit of speaking that I have been doing, I'm in these major American towns, and they very much look like war zones. Economic warfare is being waged, you know, domestically. And the nuns on the bus were trying to make this point of when you have a permanent war economy, the social needs of people suffer, never mind the spiritual soul needs of a people. And as far as what Dorothy would say today, I think it's pretty clear that the wars that we've most currently been waging are completely out of keeping with any sense of justice, international law, moral values. I've been involved with getting arrested myself regarding the issue of torture and drones, the use of drones for long-distance killing. And that was part of why I traveled to Afghanistan, was to meet some of the families who lost members, victims, innocent people, to these drone strikes. And another reason for taking this trip also was to meet the enemy. And Jesus told us, you know, love thy enemy. And what does that mean? What does that look like in our times? How do we respond? How do we act on these hard sayings of the gospel? And it's very hard to destroy a people once you've met them, and once you've interacted with them, once you've recognized their humanity. And I think the use of drones is just the ultimate means of separating oneself from who you're killing on the other end. But there's also the situation with this technology of the people running the computers that kill are having a significant impact on them psychologically, because they do see the aftermath. So I think it's very clear what Dorothy would be telling us. It's very clear what Jesus tries to tell us. And it's very easy to lose that track, that vision of how we are to walk. We all are susceptible to wanting to feel safe, wanting to feel comfortable, wanting to have what we want when we want it. And our culture depends upon us keeping that desire. And our economy depends on that. And thus our ecological system can't sustain this level of consumption. But materialism relies on war, militarism. And over again, let me read this that was written in 1965, a Union Square speech. And it was titled in one of her papers, Hard Sayings of the Gospel. It is not just Vietnam, it is South Africa, it is Nigeria, the Congo, Indonesia, all of Latin America. It is not just the pictures of all the women and children who have been burned alive in Vietnam, or the men who have been tortured and died. It is not just the headless victims of the war in Cambodia. It is not just the words of Cardinal Smelman and Archbishop Hannon. It is the fact that whether we like it or not, we are Americans. It is indeed our country, right or wrong, as the Cardinal said in another context. We are warm, fed, and secure, aside from occasional muggings and murders amongst us. We are the nation the most powerful, the most armed, and we are supplying arms and money to the rest of the world where we are not ourselves fighting. We are eating while there is famine in the world. Scripture tells us that the picture of judgment presented to us by Jesus is of Dives sitting and feasting with his friends while Lazarus sat hungry at the gate, the dogs, the scavengers of the east, licking his sores. We are the Dives. Woe to the rich. We are the rich. The works of mercy are the opposite of the works of war, feeding the hungry, sheltering the homeless, nursing the sick, visiting the prisoner. But we are destroying crops, setting fire to entire villages, and to the people in them. We are not performing the works of mercy, but the works of war. We cannot repeat this enough.
Again, thank you very much for coming, not to a big city, but to Cape Cod. And you have to appreciate this. Not much happens after 4 o'clock, at least at Christ the King. I'm not sure about the other 2 parishes. So to get this many people out is a great testament to your grandmother and to you. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.